friends, it's Angela, the Inquisitive Farm Wife. So excited you decided to join me in the downstairs kitchen today. I'm working on a preservation project. I can't believe it's already the 1st of September. Wow, how did that even happen? Oh, yeah, in September, did you know that's National Preparedness Month? So I'm joining in on a collaboration hosted by my sweet friends over at Big Valley Living, Michelle and JJ. They're a really neat couple, and if you do not know anything about that channel, you'll see Michelle on there quite a bit, doing all sorts of personal stories, canning, and just whatever they're up to. And I have, of course, said yes when she asked if I wanted to be a part of this collaboration, because I'm kind of a prepared person anyway. And so I will do things, because around here in the winter, you might get a you might get a snowstorm in the winter, or ice or whatever, to where you cannot leave the farm, because I am the Inquisitive Farm Wife. I live on a farm. And so I prepare and have foods ahead of time for those times when either the gardens aren't producing, or maybe the weather doesn't allow for me to get to the store. It's just in my nature to do that. So today what I'm doing is I have a bag. It was a 5-pound bag. You'll want to know that information for a little bit. I did weigh that out to make sure that it was, and it's a 5-pound bag of already cooked meatballs. Yes, absolutely, you can make your own meatballs and do this. But I had I had these in the freezer, and I'm trying to make room for other things. And I thought, what can I do with these? You can't can them because they have breading in them. And so I got to thinking, maybe I should try freeze drying them again, because I did try freeze drying some meatballs before, but I learned a hard lesson. These are too big for the freeze dryer to really get them good and dry. So this time around, I have decided to go ahead and quarter the meatballs. I've got the freeze dryer already started, because this isn't going to take me 15 minutes to get done. These were frozen meatballs that I've let kind of partially thaw, and so that I can cut them a little bit easier than from frozen, obviously. And the big thing about when you use your freeze dryers is you just need to make sure that everything you put in there is consistent. So you can't have one tray of frozen items and one tray of fresh or thawed items. They just need to all be the same. So even though I have my scale out, and a lot of times when you're freeze drying, you want to weigh things so that you don't reach max capacity for your size freeze dryer. However, you might notice that I've got my 4 trays set out here, and I've kind of got a pattern going so that I can divide it evenly. Little spoiler, I have done a couple of loads of these already, and it worked. And that's why I'm bringing it to you today, because I'm excited about what I'm going to do with these after they're freeze dried, so that I can have a ready meal for many purposes. But a little trick is that you just want to not overload them by weight, one, and then also by how much you're putting on the tray. Even if something, it doesn't weigh very much at all and you had plenty more weight, you don't really want to go above your tray, above this line. And you also just don't want to overcrowd things. That's going to make it harder to dry also. So take all that into consideration. Now, if you don't have a freeze dryer, you can actually dehydrate meats. I've not done a lot of it other than jerky, so I'm not very versed on that, but definitely do your research and see if that's something that maybe you want to do. And there's also canning recipes for meatballs that don't have the breading in them. So if you want to make your own, absolutely, you can do that and can it up. These just have the breading. They were in my freezer, and I thought, what a perfect way to get these used up and make a creative little packet for future uses, because you never know what kind of emergency is going to come your way. Maybe, just maybe, it's not weather like what I'm planning for. Maybe it's as simple as you're tired and you just don't have the energy to even brown meat. And the thought of making a full dinner is just too much. But if you have a pre-cooked thing like these meatballs, we can rehydrate them. I'm going to make spaghetti kits out of it, but you can also have like meatballs and throw it in the crock pot before you went to work or your activity. But if it's a last minute thing, you could rehydrate these in warm broth, and you could make soups. You could do all sorts of things with these. It's not limited just to what the spaghetti packets that I'm going to make today. Another emergency that you might find yourself in is a family loss. It happens, unfortunately. We don't like to talk about it, but sometimes our health declines, and sometimes so does the ones that we love or take care of. And having ready meals for people during times of stress, whether they lost a job or lost a parent, or they're going through treatments of any kind, something like this to have on hand to gift to others is something to think about too. You know, when we are prepared for things, a lot of times we think about preparing for our worst case scenarios, and we need to also think of our fellow man, you know, your neighbors, your friends, your family, and think about how we can almost prepare to have things like a meal when someone gets sick. You know, we recently went through that whole the new sickness that has hit us. I know that a lot of people, it was really hard because they couldn't go in and take care of other people. But if you had something like this where all you had to do was add hot water, then what an easy, quick meal people can put together when they don't feel their best. And of course, in the event that we don't have electricity or running water, having canned waters or broth on hand is a really smart idea, because then you would have your liquid available to you that is safe to use. So these are all things that, you know, we maybe do or don't think about, and I'm just kind of trying to jog a few ideas into your mind of ways that you think you might be able to plan ahead for the scenarios that can happen to us any and every day, not just the zombie apocalypse. Here we are over at the preservation station. That's where I keep my freeze dryer. What I did is I made sure that everywhere I cut the meatballs that they actually separated. And then I got everything nice and spread out. Now all I'm going to do is load it into my freeze dryer. Have you been curious about getting your own freeze dryer? If you look in the description box down below, there's a link where you can check out Harvest Right. Shut the door, close the drain, and start the button. And that's it. It's going to do everything for me. So I like to put the meatballs into a Mylar bag. And I actually, instead of waiting for the freeze dryer to finish, I'm going to go ahead and get this video done. So you don't have to wait on me, because I accidentally had one of my already done bags. Remember, I told you I had tried this before. I had it get a hole in it, and so it lost its seal. So we're going to go ahead and open this up, and we're going to reseal it. But I'm going to show you what they look like freeze dried up close. Isn't that neat? You can hear they're crunchy. we'll give one a taste test. So, of course, they're dry, but they really do make a good snack. They kind of remind me of a cracker, like a meaty cracker. If that sounds weird, it is. But, you know, like the chicken crackers. I don't know. You make your own opinion. But I want to make sure that I put a desiccant in here because moisture is not our friend. We're going to fill our bag. This was 2 trays worth. Make it whatever size you want. Put the desiccant bag in according. And then I'm going to take you over here to one of my favorite gadgets in the preservation station. It's my Avid Armor. I love it. Speaking of Avid Armor, they're actually the sponsor for this collaboration. They're going to be giving away a starter kit. Thanks, Avid Armor. You're the best. The one I have is the one I call the Pop the Weasel one, because when you use it, you put the lid down, it does this thing, and then it goes pop, like the old toy, Pop Goes the Weasel. You'll see in just a second what I mean.
I'm an affiliate with Avid Armor. Make sure you check out my link below in the description box for more information.
Here it comes. You hear that? Can you see that sealing down? And there it is. A double seal. And these are our meatballs that should last for a really long time. Some might tell you up to 25 years. I don't think they'll last this that long. But I want to make sure I label this. So I'm going to put quartered meatballs. And I'm going to put September of 2024 so that I know. And then I'm going to say rehydrate with broth. And now you won't forget what you put on in here in 5 years from now. Because trust me, friends, you'll forget, even though you don't think you will. So make sure that you do label it. I'm so excited. And you're probably wondering, why did I say rehydrate with broth? These were frozen meatballs. And so they're not going to have as good a flavor as your homemade meatballs would. And you could definitely just do water with those. But when it comes to a store-bought frozen meatball that had been in my freezer a while, I want to make sure it gets good flavor because we're putting this stuff up ourselves because we want a good end product. Remember that scale we talked about? So we have our before weight, and then of course we needed to take an after weight. So it lost about half the weight. So this was 2.5 pounds to start with. So it's about 1.25 pounds now. So you're going to want to add, a pound, probably a quart of broth to this, or water, whatever you choose to rehydrate if that's how you choose. But I'm telling you, those do make a lovely snack. Maybe put on top of salad. I can see myself taking those on the road with me, on the kayak, all sorts of things. One of my favorite reasons of using a freeze dryer is it makes everything so light. So you know how we talked about being prepared and thinking of our fellow man? How about our fellow kids? Something like this would be well received to a college student who is just trying to get by and they're starving. And I tell you what, these freeze-dried make a great snack, just like a beef jerky would too. So it's a great source of protein that you can send, and they can use it for a meal if they want to. So let me tell you what my plan was with this. Although it changed several times along the way, I thought a ready meal would be a good way to have for gifting or for on those nights where I was just too tired to cook. So we have our meatballs. You could grab a pasta sauce, whether it be homemade or store-bought, that does not matter. And then grab a pasta of choice, and you could have a spaghetti dinner. So here I have some pre-cooked, freeze-dried pasta that I could easily add with the meatballs, add a little extra broth, rehydrate them, open up a can of my pasta sauce, and then I would have a spaghetti meal. Or I could put it in the oven. If we don't have electricity, I can cook it out on the grill or a fire. I think this would be a great emergency situation meal. If you don't have pre-cooked pasta like I do today, there is nothing wrong with dried pasta. All you need is some water and a pot to boil it in. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it inspired you to get some meal kits ready at your household. And if you have all canned products, that's totally fine. Canned chicken, canned vegetables, and you could throw yourself together a soup or another meal. Have it in a little basket set aside for those emergency days, whether it's an emergency of exhaustion, an emergency of health, an emergency of weather, or whatever comes your way. I think it would be handy to have a meal or two ready to go for whenever you need it. Thanks again, Michelle and JJ, for inviting me to be a part of the 30 Days of Preparedness. Make sure you guys all go check out all the videos on the playlist.
Leave a heartfelt comment on each video for chances to win.
There will be a live giveaway for some really fantastic prizes from our sponsor, Avid Armor, and from Lisa over at Sutton Stays. And don't forget, our hosts, JJ and Michelle, are giving away a $100 gift card. See you all next time. Bye for now.